Welcome to the Patch Podcast, the place where sports, recreation, and entertainment collide. From the biggest headlines to the stories nobody else is talking about, this is the show that covers it all. Now, here's your host, bringing the heat. Welcome to the Patch.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 4 of the Patch Podcast. Alongside Danny, Bart, Rich Hill's on assignment. I am Moog. How are you, gentlemen?
Doing good.
Doing good.
How are you, Moog?
I am doing all right. So what's going on today, guys? On episode 4, what do we want to talk about today? Lots going on in sports. Any goofy sports going on, Danny, that you want to talk about?
I seen something last night. I didn't watch it. Oh, Air Guitar Championships were on ESPN last night. I didn't click on it, but I've watched it before, and them guys get after it now. It's freaking hilarious. It was on ESPN 2 or News or something like that last night. It wasn't late either. It was about 8 or 9 o'clock.
I've heard it all.
Okay.
I now have heard it all. Pillow fighting, Air Guitar Championships. I mean, Air Guitar Championships is not a sport. Would you agree?
Well, it depends on what they do. They might put a lot of flips and stuff like that in there. It's not just playing the guitar; they get after it.
Kind of like breakdancing in the Olympics.
Yeah, it's like breakdancing, pretty much.
Maybe I'm not giving air guitar justice enough. I mean, I guess you can. There is some physical activity that's going on.
Now, I did see one this morning. I forgot about it. They had a rock. I'm going to say this rock probably weighed 200 pounds, 150 probably. And they had a line, and they was trying to, more or less like a shot put, but the rock was flat and wide.
Right.
And they were throwing it, and the guy that won it threw it 14 foot.
Was this like in Scotland? They call it throwing the stone?
That's what they were calling it, but they were doing it, I want to say, in like California.
Really? I've actually seen that. I always wonder if that's where like the modern day shot put originated from.
Very well could be.
That might be a Dwayne Summers question. Maybe he knows the answer. He threw shot put in high school and then was a track coach for Heron, right?
Oh yeah, he was big time track coach for Heron. I got something for you. Made the comment about is that a sport? A little controversy this summer from what is on an ESPN guy. Stephen A. Smith said that NASCAR drivers are not athletes.
Really?
Yeah, Stephen A. Smith come out and said NASCAR drivers and golfers were not athletes. My question to Mr. Smith is, and they were talking about it earlier on pre-race, seen a couple of guys talking about it. And they said, get in the car with us, run 30 laps at Talladega, and let's just see how close we are to being athletes.
Well, yeah. I mean, when you're driving 200 miles an hour over and over and over and over at 500, it's 500 miles, right? So like a 500, the Daytona 500 is 500 miles. 200-mile track is a whatever 200. I'm sorry, I can tell you, there is no way that I would want to drive, even though you're driving in a circle most oftentimes for 200 miles. It takes a grind.
You're forgetting one thing. There's also 39 other drivers around you.
Exactly.
Just like we have Talladega on here. They're running. Talladega is 2.66 miles. They're cutting 49-second laps. They're driving 2.66 miles in 49 seconds.
Crazy.
With the heat coming off the motors, you have to think you're running in. Right now, they're running in a single file line. If somebody gets out, everybody at Talladega, the one thing that everybody knows about Talladega and Daytona, they're waiting for the big one. So just the mental part of driving these race cars.
Your question about the shot put, Moog.
Yes.
How it got originated? It's from ancient Celtic strength competition.
Because throwing stones is part of the Scottish Celtic tradition. To your point. Yep.
Putting the stone, by Middle Ages and competitions among soldiers hurling cannonballs. Modern shot put was formalized in the 19th century Scotland Highland Games and became an official Olympic event in 1896 for men, with women's competition beginning in 1948.
There you have it.
So we've talked about air guitar. I still can't get over that. I'm sorry. I can't. And let our listeners tell me otherwise. If you think that air guitar should be a sport, let us know. Contact us on Instagram, contact us on Facebook, contact us on Spotify, contact us on YouTube. Wherever you listen to the podcast, reach out to us. Moog wants to know what you think. Do you think that air guitar should be considered a sport?
It's a competition.
Okay, that's fair.
Question of the day coming from Moog.
Yes, there we go. Moog's question of the day. We may call it that. Moog's question of the day. We need a sponsor for Moog's question of the day.
We had the NFL draft.
Let's talk about the NFL draft. Even though my town, St. Louis, does not have an NFL team, and the lowly LA Rams were wearing Colorado Avalanche jerseys in the draft room. Even though they're in Los Angeles, you'd think they may want to support the LA Kings, LA's hockey team, but a little problem. The owner of the LA Rams, Enos Stanley Kroenke, also owns the Colorado Avalanche. So let's talk about the NFL draft.
Well,
Any surprises for you guys?
Well, not really. Yeah, I guess you could say it was a surprise. We have a local boy, Johnson City boy. He was not drafted, but the Indianapolis Colts took him as a free agent, as a rookie free agent. Undrafted free agent. Yeah. Austin Brown from Johnson City.
I did see that. I did see that he did go undrafted, but he was able to sign with Indianapolis. So good for him. I'm glad that.
In the world. And I watched him play in high school, and man, what
he's not only a good football player, but he's a good kid. He's got a good head on his shoulders. I wish him well.
Hopefully he will make it. And if nothing else, if he does not make the roster for the Colts or the practice squad, there is always the USFL. My St. Louis Battlehawks actually beat the number one team in the league. Their former coach, Anthony Becht, coaches the Orlando Storm, who were undefeated at 4-0. And the Battlehawks, coached by Ricky Prohl, went into Orlando and beat the undefeated Orlando Storm yesterday. 25-14. Very good game. And no one picked the Battlehawks to win, so I was glad to see. I watched the replay late last night.
Now, what's the Battlehawks record?
Battlehawks record is 3-2. They are now third in the league behind the Storm at 4-1. DC Defenders are 4-1. The Battlehawks are 3-2. And the Birmingham Stallions, I believe, are 3-2 or 3-1, and they played today.
How many teams go to the playoffs?
4. The top 4 teams go to the playoffs. They were 2-2. And I like when they play here in St. Louis, because as long as it's during a time that there's not a game going on at Busch Stadium for the Cardinals, the Battlehawks will fill that dome. I'm confident of it.
Well, St. Louis does love their football. I mean,
they do.
Prove that whenever the Rams were.
Yeah, I look at it this way. The year the Rams came in 95, I had been back in St. Louis, moved back from Southern Illinois in 93. The Rams came, Georgia Frontiere brought the Rams from LA, and everybody was happy. Well, they pretty much tanked for a couple of years, was terrible. And then we all know what happened in 99, 2000 season, the greatest show on turf. And then in 2000, 2001, 2000, 2002. After 2002, come to find out, ownership decided they want to dismantle the team, and they start hiring very bad coaches that wanted to be head coaches who were good, defensive coaches or decent offensive coaches in their own right, but they were not good head coaches at all. We had a couple of good players, 3 that I can name, 3, 4, after, members of the greatest show on turf started retiring or moving on. But to your point, Danny, I mean, St. Louis has always loved football. I remember as a little kid in St. Louis, the St. Louis football Cardinals, people love the Cardinals, but they had, they didn't get a stadium, and they said, hey, we need a stadium or we're going to move. And they were very cut and dry about it. But the difference is when the Rams decided they wanted to move, the Rams presented like this 52-page document on how bad the city was and how it couldn't support all these sports teams, et cetera, just trashed out the city. And that's wrong. I don't care if you want to move for a business reason, present your business justification, but you don't dog the city out. That's just wrong. Back to the draft. And besides the kid from Johnston City, any other surprises that the NFL took in the first round that made you just scratch your head going, what are they thinking?
Well, Ty Simpson was a surprise. I think he was drafted 3rd or 4th.
Wasn't that by the Rams?
Yeah.
Yeah, they traded up, and I thought I heard that Sean McVay, the coach of the Rams, about threw a hissy fit.
Yeah. I don't think he was happy with it.
Well, that's good old Les Snead.
The first thing out of his mouth was, Matt Stafford is our guy. There you go.
Yeah, but in that kid's defense, that whenever they drafted him, he said, "I get to learn from one of the best." You know, he doesn't. The way the interview that I saw with him, he doesn't plan on walking in there and taking over. He plans on learning.
Well, as he should.
Well, Dan Orlovsky on ESPN said that. Excuse me. He said Ty Simpson is the best QB in the draft, and he asked all 32 teams that, and only 2 of them disagreed with him. He didn't say which ones, but because he didn't want to expose them. So he said 30 teams of the NFL agreed with him. Apparently, they see something in him.
And that's the way it used to be. You used to take the best person in the draft, right? You always take the best player in the draft. Now, obviously, if the best player, and I'm just going to make this up, if the best player is a punter, which we know would never happen, maybe I should pick something else or some other position. But if the best player is a quarterback and they're available, take them, because then you have better trade value. If you don't need a quarterback, if that's what Les Snead was thinking, then maybe you justify it. But we'll see what happens.
Well, I mean, just like you said, Bart, if 30 teams, what the guy said, okay, if 30 teams says he's the best quarterback in the draft, let's face it, Matthew Stafford's coming towards the end of his career, you know? So
Sure.
If you get 2 years out of Stafford, all right, that kid learns from him for 2 years. You've got an experienced quarterback coming in.
They also have Stetson Bennett as their backup, so I think McVay's high on him also. So that's probably why he was mainly disappointed. I don't know. I'm not speaking for the man, but he didn't look too happy.
We'll see what happens with the Rams for sure. I know, who was that? Mendoza from Indiana went number 1, so no surprise there.
And you have to give that kid respect. His mom has MS. He didn't go to the draft. He stayed home with his mom because it would have been too hard for her to travel. So he stayed home and had his draft party there at wherever they had it at, close to his mom's home.
And that's to be commended, because it's not about him. To be able to deal with that adversity in your personal life can translate into great leadership qualities on the football field.
Well, the kid from Vanderbilt, we was talking about him earlier. He just knew he was going to get drafted, and was so, I don't know if you want to call it arrogant, cocky.
Yeah, you call it that.
They will call it arrogant and cocky. And he didn't even hire an agent. He's going to do it all on his own. Well, he went undrafted, and as of today, nobody has picked him up. And he was a Heisman Trophy runner-up
when Shedeur Sanders was passed over until the 5th round. It was last year, right?
Last year.
Yeah, it was last year.
Yeah, so last year it was the whole. I mean, I personally like Deion Sanders as a coach at Colorado. That's just me. But what I didn't like was the fact he didn't do his son any justice by coming out saying certain things. If Deion was honest about it and came out, if it was asked the question honestly, he would say, I probably should have just backed off and counseled him quietly on what to expect and how to act and all of that. You can still be yourself and be an individual, to your point about this other kid that we were just talking about, Danny, being cocky and not getting drafted, you see what happens.
And rightfully so. I mean, I saw an article where he was having his own party yesterday, had all 32 teams, the hats of all 32 teams stuck out, had cameras there and everything else. And he didn't get his name called. And some of that, I want to say a lot of that has to do with how he acted after he lost the Heisman to Mendoza. I mean, he shamed the Heisman committee. I mean, he actually, it was bad. And when you do that at that level, look, Johnny Manziel,
Yeah.
I was talking about earlier, he's just like Johnny Manziel. You know, if you're going to act that way, professionals don't care how good you are. There's always somebody that's going to be better, unless you're Michael Jordan.
Yep. And then you got to prove yourself. Even when you coming in from college, you still have to prove that you're that good or that talented coming into the pros.
And college it's like going from high school to college. It's a major jump. And then from college to the pros, you watch a college game and you watch how many linemen have double knee braces. How many linemen have double knee braces in the NFL? You don't see it in the NFL.
That's a good point. The Chicago Bears drafted a tight end.
Yes.
Was that in the first round? And if so, I mean, are they trying to, I guess, load up? Because they've got Cole Kmet.
They got a tight end in round 3. Round 1 was that safety, Dylan Dynaman out of Oregon. I think they've been looking at him for a long time because but he's fast. He runs a 4.35 40. And then they got a center from Iowa, Logan Jones. He's a round 2 pick. And then they also got a wide receiver in round 3, Xavier Thomas.
I know the Kansas City Chiefs either traded for a tight end, drafted one to replace Kelsey. Moving off from the NFL, let's talk about where are we at this week on NASCAR. Last week during the podcast, we were talking about NASCAR, and the local boy from Southern Illinois came back and won the race last week.
Tyler Reddick come back and won. Yes, sir.
They are just unstoppable. Him and MJ are just cranking away there on the NASCAR circuit.
He's had a pretty good run so far. He really has. He's had the cars. Toyota's had the best cars so far this season. Yeah. But I look for that to change. I know Chevrolet's starting to do a little bit of griping, so they'll make a few adjustments to the cars. And today they're at Talladega, and anybody can win this race. Reddick is actually running 8th. A lot of laps to go. Whenever they bunch up and they start making them moves, the big one is inevitable.
So let's talk about the big podcast for next week. We will all be together at the official The Patch Podcast Studios.
Yeah, we got Kentucky Derby coming up Saturday. They'll have some good food, be a good time. And then next Sunday, buddy Jason L. Woolard's supposed to come and be our second interviewer or interviewee. And should be pretty interesting.
I'm excited about that one.
I am too, and I'm looking forward to it.
Going to have maybe some mint juleps, 1 or 2, and some great food. So make sure and join us next week for episode 5 of the Patch Podcast, where it will be the Kentucky Derby edition of the Patch Podcast, as we will have our second interviewee in Jason L. Woolard, who will be joining us. We will all be together at Bart's Man Cave, otherwise known as the official The Patch Podcast Studios. Great food, great beverages, and just a great time overall. So we're looking forward to not only the Kentucky Derby the day before, but episode 5 of the Patch Podcast the next day on Sunday.
Last week, everybody's, I'm a laborer, work on the roads, interstates, stuff like that. Last week was our annual Safety Awareness Week for road work safety. We had a barbecue and stuff at the hall. All the guys got together. They had some drawings and stuff like that. They're down at Marion Labor's Local 773. Really appreciate all the guys that, the business manager, Jerry Womack, and all them guys. Oh, they smoked pork steaks. They had chicken halves, brats. I mean, you name it. I mean, it was really nice. But one of the things that really hit home to me was a gentleman showed up yesterday that was literally crushed 5 years ago. Truck driver wasn't paying attention. Other people wasn't paying attention, and he got crushed in between a truck and a paving machine. And to see him walk up, give me a hug, it hits home.
And that does it for this edition of the Patch Podcast. For Danny, for Bart, for Rich Hill, who's on assignment, I'm Moog. Thanks again for joining us on the Patch Podcast.
That's a wrap for today's episode of the Patch Podcast. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the show, subscribe, share it, and tell a friend. Until next time, stay active, stay entertained, and we'll see you back here in the Patch.